Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking this evening. The Lok Sabha elections kick off. Over 1,600 candidates race for 102 Lok Sabha seats across 21 states and union territories in Phase 1. Overall, voter turnout stands at 50% as of 3 p.m. Voting will take place for the state assemblies of Arunachal and Sikkim. Tamil Nadu sees voting across all 39 Lok Sabha constituencies as a three-way battle between the DMK alliance, the ADMK and the NDA reaches a climax. Polling ends for all Lok Sabha seats in Uttarakhand, Arunachal, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Meghalaya and Sikkim. Tensions in the Middle East escalate as explosions are reported in two Iranian cities. Reports quote US officials who allege that Israel was behind the attack, but Tehran downplays the incident. Iranian state media reports that air defense batteries were fired to shoot down 3 drones over Isfahan in central Iran. No official comment from Israel. Equity markets clock early losses as global markets fall on fears of escalating tensions in the Middle East, but recover as Iran plays down the incident. The sensex and the nifty gain over 0.5%, but fail to extend a weekly winning streak of 5 weeks. The rupee ends stronger against the dollar. Wipro's fourth quarter constant currency revenues declined for the 5th quarter in a row, but the dip is along expected lines. The IT giant disappoints with its first quarter revenue growth guidance. The new CEO, Srini Pallia, blames a challenging year and continued macro uncertainties, but says he's optimistic about the future. Netflix beats first quarter earnings with a 16% jump in new subscribers, revenue up to over $9.3 billion. Net income grows to $2.3 billion. Netflix says it's generating substantial free cash flow and developing new revenue streams like advertising and a password sharing crackdown. The Consumer Affairs Ministry asked the food safety regulator to investigate the sugar content in Nestlé's Cerelac baby food sold in India. The move follows a Swiss study that alleges higher sugar content in products sold in countries like India versus products sold in markets in Europe. The jailed Delhi Chief Minister Ed-Kejriwal files a plea seeking daily visits from his doctor to check his sugar levels. Jail authorities say his levels are stable. The Enforcement Directorate opposes the request. The trial court reserves the order till Monday. India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant says the Indian car industry has enjoyed protection for long and lower import duties are the need of the hour to encourage competition and make in India. Says Tesla's proposed investment will open up opportunities for battery manufacturing and charging infrastructure. The world's largest electoral process kicked off today. 102 Lok Sabha constituencies across 21 states and union territories went to the polls. Over 1,600 candidates in the fray. The 44-day polling season will see voting for 543 Lok Sabha seats across 7 phases. The BJP, looking for a third term under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has fielded candidates for 77 of the 102 seats that went to the polls today. The principal challenger, Congress, contesting 56 seats. Overall, voter turnout as of 3 p.m. this afternoon stood at 50%. This number will be higher when the final count comes in. Tamil Nadu, of course, the big battleground state in Phase 1. All 39 seats went to the polls. The BJP has decided to go almost solo this time around, calling it quits with its longtime ally, the AIADMK, and instead tying up with smaller regional parties. Jude is here with more on battleground Tamil Nadu and what's at stake. Jude, this has been the high-pitched battle, the Prime Minister making it a very personal one as well. What was the mood like on the ground?
Let's look at what's at stake. 39 out of 39 seats here in Tamil Nadu go to the polls, including that one seat that's 40 for Puducherry. And there's an awful lot at stake, really, for all three political parties locked in this three-cornered contest. Firstly, the BJP, remember, is going it alone without either the DMK or the AIADMK alliance. And this, of course, will test the strength of the smaller parties that it's tying up with, much like you know, the Tamil Maanila Congress, for instance. Parties that will see their mettle tested as far as the polls are concerned, and that's largely because the DMK, on the other hand, has got most of the rank and file of its allies intact, and this includes parties like not only the Congress but also parties like the MDMK, parties like you know, for instance, even the VCK, and that's also because the DMK and its allies have the most to lose. Remember, this alliance currently sits in 38 out of 39 seats as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, even as the BJP remains the principal challenger, fielding its state president in K. Annamalai from a constituency like Coimbatore. But remember, we can't quite count out the AIADMK. The party, remember, is strong in the Kongu region. I'm talking constituencies like Coimbatore, Salem, Erode, Dharmapuri. So ever a challenger in these parts, the AIADMK is still a force to reckon with. However, the fact that recent allies in the AIADMK and BJP have chosen to go their separate ways simply means there could be some semblance of vote splitting between these two parties. So on the face of it, advantage DMK, but you just never know.
Jude Sanat there reporting from Tamil Nadu. From Tamil Nadu to Western UP, where voting is currently underway in 8 constituencies. The BJP won 3 of those seats in 2019. Abhimanyu joins us now from Pilibhit. Abhimanyu, that's one of the key battleground seats. Pilibhit, it hasn't seen a non-Gandhi in the fray in the last 28 years.
Several electoral issues ranging from issues of farmers, artisans, jobs, employment, infrastructure are at stake as 8 constituencies in Western UP have witnessed voting. As far as Pilibhit is concerned, the BJP had dropped the sitting MP Varun Gandhi in favor of a new candidate, Jitin Prasad, who is, by the way, experienced as a politician. He's confident of a victory, and he had also said that there was a pro-incumbency, a pro-Modi wave, which is possibly going to help the BJP. He had said that beneficiaries of several government schemes would act as the biggest supporters of the BJP. However, anti-incumbency is something which the India Alliance as well as the BSP are trying to tap into. And we need to keep in mind, of course, that the candidates from both the India Alliance as well as from the BSP are also not political greenhorns. They have served as state ministers in previous state governments. So clearly it's going to be an interesting electoral contest between all the 3 sides. As far as other issues are concerned, issues pertaining to farmers continue to remain a sore issue, which are being sought as a poll plank by the opposition. When we earlier spoke to Sanjeev Balyan, who is contesting yet again from Muzaffarnagar, he had said that he is batting not just for farmers but also for creation of more jobs for his youth within his constituency. So clearly it would be an interesting electoral battle to see that which candidates are of course going to win and how the alliances are going to figure as far as the final results are concerned.
Abhimanyu, many thanks. And Maharashtra, where 5 constituencies in the Vidarbha region went to the polls, 97 candidates in the fray, including BJP's Nitin Gadkari, who's contesting from Nagpur as always. Santya brought us this ground report.
5 Maharashtra Lok Sabha seats went to polls in the first phase. These 5 seats are Ramtek, Bhandara Gondia, Gadchiroli Chimur, Ramtek and Nagpur. All these 5 seats are of Vidarbha region. Now there are total 10 Vidarbha seats, 10 seats in the Vidarbha region of the state, and 5 seats went to the polls. Now the important seats here, first of all, is Nagpur, where Nitin Gadkari once again is BJP's candidate. He won the seat for the Saffron Party in 2014 and 2019. He's being faced by Congress's Vikas Thakre. Nagpur voters are all set to cast their votes on infrastructural development, as that emerges as one of the key election issues. Other important seat is Chandrapur. That was the only seat Congress won in 2019. This time, BJP has contested Sudhir Mungantiwar from that seat, and Congress, after its sitting MP Suresh Dhanorkar's death, gave the ticket to his wife Pratibha Dhanorkar. That is another important seat. Other than that, there's Ramtek, there is Bhandara Gondia, and there is Gadchiroli Chimur. for the election issues as far as the Naxal belt and the remaining rural areas of all these three constituencies are concerned. Connectivity, road connectivity, availability of educational and medical institutes, unemployment are some of the key issues which the voters have claimed that they have kept in their mind while casting their vote.
Santya Guru there reporting from Maharashtra. Phase 1 kicking off. It is, of course, going to be a long, arduous election. 7 phases that we need to see through before we get the final result. But let's talk about the market action. Equity markets closing the day with gains after losses in early trade, snapping a 4-day losing streak, though the sensex and the nifty gained over 0.5% today, with the nifty bank gaining 1% at close. The markets did fail to hold on to their 4-week gaining streak, with frontline indices falling between 2 and 3% for the week. But the big global story that is impacting global markets: explosions were heard in the central province of Isfahan in Iran. As per Iranian media, Iran's space agency spokesperson played down the incident and said that several drones had been successfully shot down. However, media reports say that US officials were informed ahead of time that Israel was going to carry out retaliatory strikes. Reports also cited Iranian officials saying that they have no plans of any immediate retaliation. Amidst the ongoing tensions, commercial flights have diverted their routes over western Iran, including Isfahan, and have skirted Tehran to the north. Back home, IT giant Wipro's fourth quarter numbers came in along expected lines. The slight slip in constant currency revenue was lower than expected, as was the 8% drop in net profit. This was the 5th quarter in a row that revenues have contracted for Wipro. The company has, however, turned in a disappointing growth guidance for the first quarter of minus 1.5% to 0.5%. Its deal book has shown some resilience, growing 14% on an annual basis. They do have a new MD and CEO in Srini Palia. He says, and I quote, FY24 proved to be a challenging year for our industry and the macroeconomic environment remains uncertain. However, I am optimistic about the opportunities that lie ahead. End of quote. Rima standing by with more. Rima, take us through the numbers and, more importantly, the commentary coming in from the new CEO.
So as you rightly pointed out, Q4 Wipro meets expectations, but it's the Q1, the June quarter guidance, which disappoints the street. So first, onto the Q2 numbers. The company's constant currency revenue growth has declined by 0.3% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, making it the 5th consecutive quarter of a decline. With this, the company has ended FY24 with a revenue contraction of 4.4%. This is at a time when peers like Infy and TCS managed to grow their top line in low single digits. Margins in Q4 for Wipro have expanded by 30 basis points to 16.4%, and this is a bit of a positive surprise. But where Wipro disappoints is on the June quarter guidance. The company is guiding for revenues to be between minus 1.5% to plus 0.5% in the June quarter, which means at the midpoint, it's likely that Wipro's revenues could fall again in the June quarter. The street was hopeful that maybe this time the guidance could be 0 to 2%. There were some who believed minus 1 to plus 1%, but minus 1.5% at the lower end is a bit disappointing. Deal wins for the company continue to be fairly robust. Large deal wins up 9.5%. Headcount comes under pressure. In fact, this is a trend across with TCS, Infosys and Wipro. Headcount continues to shrink. For Wipro in this quarter, headcount is down by more than 6,000 employees.
Accelerate large deal momentum by working closely with clients and partners. 2, strengthen relationships with our large clients and partners and further invest in accounts that have the potential to grow into large accounts. 3, focus on industry-specific offerings and business solutions led by consulting and infused with AI. Then we'll continue to build, this is a 4th point for me from my side, to build talent at scale, which is AI ready and able to deliver industry-specific business solutions.
Well, that's the new CEO at Wipro. And staying with earnings, global earnings, Netflix reporting a stellar set of numbers in the first quarter, smashing street estimates across all parameters. Total membership up 16% on an annual basis. The company announced that it will no longer report quarterly membership numbers and average revenue per membership starting in the first quarter of 2025. Back home, the Consumer Affairs Ministry has asked the food safety regulator to investigate the sugar content in Nestle's Cerelac baby food sold in India. Now, this move comes after a Swiss study that alleged higher sugar content in products sold in countries like India versus products sold in markets like Europe. Strong demand for air conditioners in March will continue into April and May. That's the word in from Blue Star's MD, B. Tyagarajan. Speaking to my colleague Danish Anand, Tyagarajan said that summer sales contribute to 40% of the company's annual profits, adding that dealers have stocked up well to meet the growing demand.
Close to around 40% of our annual profits come during this season. Last year was a bad summer. It rained a lot. And this time around, the predictions are it will be a harsh summer. So the dealers have stocked up very well. And to build up to the summer, March itself was a very huge month for the industry and Blue Star. And the demand is holding.
Well, that's B. Tyagarajan there of a Blue Star. We are going to head into a break, but there's a lot more coming up right here on India Business Hour. As always, stay tuned to us on X, on Instagram, Facebook, and more. We're back in a moment with the news. Singapore's food agency has ordered the recall of spice maker Everest fish curry masala, which is imported from India. The agency says the presence of pesticides, ethylene oxide, has exceeded levels that are not fit for human consumption. As per the agency, low levels of the pesticides pose no immediate threat to consumption of food, but the exposure to the substance should be minimized. Shifting focus now to life insurance, where premiums in the month of March grew 16% year-on-year. The month has also seen all life insurers exhibit growth in premiums except for HDFC Life. However, the sector's annual premium equivalent fell 4% to the same period last year. We learned from sources that the Tata Group has submitted a proposal to the Reserve Bank seeking a waiver from listing its holding company, a non-bank finance firm, Tata Sons. Sources say the group has highlighted debt reduction as part of its proposal. The Reserve Bank has not yet responded to Tata Sons. Jailed Delhi Chief Minister Ed-Kejriwal filing a plea seeking daily visits from his doctor to check his sugar levels. However, jail authorities say his sugar level is stable. The Enforcement Directorate, meanwhile, has opposed the request for a doctor. The trial court has now reserved order till Monday. Ashmit joins us now with details. Ashmit, all about mangoes today.
Well, interesting court proceedings today where the ED expressing concern about Arvind Kejriwal's diabetes, his sugar and what he's having for a meal behind bars in Tihar jail. Keep in mind that the ED council just yesterday had raised concerns about Arvind Kejriwal having mangoes, having sweets, adding sugar to his tea. The ED had argued that Arvind Kejriwal is following a strategy to spike his sugar levels so that he can seek bail on grounds of health. Now, this was responded to by Arvind Kejriwal today by his counsel Abhishek Manu Singhvi. To be specific, Abhishek Manu Singhvi argued that a total of 48 home-cooked meals have been received, of which only 3 had mangoes. Outside of that, he also confessed, Arvind Kejriwal's counsels confessed that he's also had aloo puri on the occasion of Navratri. That was on April 8th, and that since then, there's been no mangoes, there's been no sweets, there's been no sugar in the tea. That's the contention that Abhishek Manu Singhvi had made. He said that this scrutiny that is being applied on what is being fed to Arvind Kejriwal is unprecedented under independent India, that this is a petty strategy being followed. This is a ridiculous strategy, the word used by Abhishek Manu Singhvi, going on on to say that there is a malicious intent by the Enforcement Directorate in taking this approach against the Delhi Chief Minister. The jail authorities on their part have submitted that they too believe that there is a divergence from the agreed upon diet chart for Arvind Kejriwal. They've sought a medical opinion from AIIMS, and they've been told that no fruits should be allowed to Arvind Kejriwal. No chiku, no bananas, and no mangoes for sure. Now, this is an issue that the trial court has now reserved its orders on. Over the weekend, it will apply its mind, and on Monday, it will give its order on the way forward on what food items can be consumed by the Delhi CM.
Well, thanks very much, Ashmit. As I pointed out, all about mangoes today in court. Tech giant Apple has removed WhatsApp and Threads from its App Store in China. This move comes after the Chinese government ordered the company to pull down the apps and cited security concerns as the reason. Two other messaging apps, Telegram and Signal, also removed from the App Store in China. Elon Musk's long-awaited and much-rumoured India visit is finally happening. The CEO of the world's largest EV maker will drive into India this weekend to meet Prime Minister Modi and announce Tesla's plans for making in India. While there's no official confirmation, sources suggest Tesla could invest under the government's recently announced new EV policy, which makes allowances for cheaper imports, but with the promise of making in India over time. India's G20 Sherpa and the Make in India man, Amitabh Kant, says the Indian car industry has enjoyed protection for long and that lower import duties are the need of the hour to encourage competition and make in India. Speaking to me, he added that Tesla's proposed investment will open up opportunities for battery manufacturing, charging infrastructure and more. Take a look.
We need to create a much greater level of competition between the companies, and I'll be truly delighted if the new policy leads to a lot of Indian companies, Tata's, Mahindra's taking Tesla head on in the market and actually beating Tesla both in the domestic market and in the export market. And it's quite possible. If BYD can take on Tesla, people don't realize that BYD controls 18% of the EV market. So these are companies which should all think global. Once you start thinking global, you'll penetrate global markets, but you'll do a lot of good to the Indian consumers.
Well, that's Amitabh Kant, and Musk's visit coincides with an EV slowdown globally. Electric vehicles are losing market share across Europe, US and China. So what does this mean for India's EV market? Prashant is here with more. Prashant, how significant is Musk's visit to India in the current scenario?
So Mr. Musk is going to be here, right? He's coming to India on Sunday, and he's expected to meet the Prime Minister on Monday. That's essentially the schedule. He'll go to Delhi, and that's a two-day India visit that we are kind of looking forward to. Now, this is all happening amid a global EV slowdown. Now, we're talking about EV adoption, ICE, which is internal combustion engine, that market shrinking, and electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles taking that market share. But it looks like, that trend has stalled a little bit. But first, let me just, before I get into that, let me just quickly tell you what the big excitement is about, right? Number one, Tesla's potential, once it kind of decides to, say, set up a factory in a particular geography, the potential to attract high-tech, high-paying manufacturing jobs, I think that attraction from Tesla is unparalleled. That's number one. Supply of battery metals at the highest scale and the lowest cost. I think it's now well understood that outside of Chinese companies, no one really comes close to Tesla in this regard. And this is what you need to bring down battery costs, to bring down the total unit cost of electric vehicles, because affordability is an issue if you want a wider and faster penetration. And of course, improvements in manufacturing cost and vehicle design. And of course, cost control can be more easily implemented in a greenfield capacity. I think many have said that for Tesla, the most efficient factory is going to be, quote unquote, the next one. So a lot of excitement around this particular visit. Now, let's just get to what is happening in the electric vehicle market globally. And, without going into too many details, I'll get to numbers in a bit, but Europe, battery electric vehicles are currently losing share to ICE market, ICE segment, which is combustion engines. In the US, the share of BEVs, which is battery electric vehicles, has been under 8% over the last 6 months. It's kind of stagnated. And of course, China, which is by far the largest market for EVs, it's showing signs of kind of saturation. Now, let me just having said this, put the numbers up, which will show you what I'm talking about. Look at the trend, 2022, 2023, and this is the expected number in 2024. For the US, 6%, 8 is where we are, expected to go up to 9%. Europe, 16%, 16%, kind of stagnating. China, of course, is far ahead in terms of adoption. 25% is electric vehicle share there. India, about 1.5% to about 2% where it is expected to go. In India, of course, two-wheeler EVs have done much better as compared to passenger vehicles so far. And of course, this is South Korea out there as well. Again, so I mean, these numbers very clearly show you that it looks like things are stalling a little bit, maybe for the time being, it may be near term, but that's where we're at. And these are some of the key reasons why this may be so. Competition from hybrids, lower incentives in many cases. I mean, we spoke about that here in India, with those subsidies going away earlier. Infrastructure, which is, charging stations, etc., affordability, repairability, depreciation. I could go on, but these are, a set of factors which perhaps are leading to this. China is clearly the other factor in a way. It's recognized as the clear low-cost leader in terms of EV production. There is no real doubt about that. And Western car companies are now realizing that mass EV adoption and China are very closely linked. You can't have, a high-tech Western EV produced at mass scale without support from Chinese companies in terms of battery tech, and battery material, etc. as well. And what is the hindrance? Strict trade barriers on China, which means lower EV adoption in the West, right? And it's an election year in the US, and it's unlikely that some of these restrictions, etc., will go away. What are we looking at? I mean, I found this interesting. ICE may be nice. I mean, ICE, of course, internal combustion engine. The goal, state of California, for example, very famously declared that they want to ban the sale of ICE vehicles by 2035. What is the reality? Just about a week and a half ago, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in the US, which regulates emission standards, has given more time and a slower required adoption curve for electric vehicles. So they're giving more time, which means that, the runway for the legacy old ICE segment is longer here. This is what the market has done for some of the leading electric vehicle companies around the world. I've taken price change from the highs. Look at Tesla, look at other companies, US companies like Lucid Motors, but look at other Chinese makers as well. Li Auto, NIO, massive, right, correction, the fall that we've seen. And Tesla itself, some 65% off the highs. And just look at another interesting number. Tesla this year, just 2024, has lost 40% in terms of value, Tesla shares. Toyota, which perhaps is like, the other end with its ICE vehicles, etc., has gained 36% share. It kind of tells you which way the wind is blowing right now. So that's the state of the EV market right now. But as I said, I mean, it could be near term. There is no real, nobody really disbelieves the fact that we need to go electric over a period of time. But the adoption, which was thought to be very near term, it will happen very quickly, that perhaps is taking longer than what is expected. This is, of course, on the agenda. As I already said, Mr. Musk is going to be here. He's going to be meeting the Prime Minister, PM Modi. Him and his team will meet government officials, industry representatives, and he's likely to announce an investment plan of between $2 and $3 billion in India. Company to not only manufacture cars for India, but also export them to global markets. And of course, we'll expect to hear something on Starlink, his telecom venture, and what he plans to do with it here in India as well. Back to you guys.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. And yes, we will be watching out for Elon Musk and his trip here in India. As Prashant is pointing out, he's expected to meet the Prime Minister on Monday. But with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend.